Good guys, my name is Lord Tomo. Welcome again to another Sonic the Hedgehog toy item collective review. You know, I'm Tomo, and we have the Brewster here, Sonic the French Hedgehog. I don't know what happened there. This is really his badass nemesis. Not really, well, it depends on which arc you really follow, but he is his rival of sorts, which is KNUXS the echidna. This is, funny enough, let me just move this aside. This is the KNUXS the Hedgehog 25th anniversary 8-inch plush. It's a mouthful, but there is obviously reasons for it. Now, a little backstory about this plush. This plush, amongst with Sonic, I made a video of that. You can definitely check that out. So Sonic, KNUXS, Tails, and Dr. Robotnik were first released in a 25th anniversary party in America, because, you know, in Australia we don't necessarily have that sort of stuff because they had us down here. But I'm a die-hard fan, so of course I had to buy this. Of course, it was limited edition at the time then, but they did gradually actually release it on Amazon for various people like myself to purchase down the track, which is awesome. So this is the KNUXS version, and I'm so in love. Oh my god, I love these plushes. Now, one of the key things that has always not necessarily swayed me away from plushes, but made me not necessarily interested as much, is the fact is they tend to use, for the most part, not always, the same kind of molds and materials and whatnot when creating plushes. Never been a big fan of them because you can't really distinguish them as much other than size, and it kind of feels like unless you really know your plushes 100%, it doesn't really make a difference if you purchase one from, I don't know, 1993 to one that's currently 2015 and that sort of stuff. So I like when they do massive variations. That's why I am super awesome happily, is that even a word combination? I don't know, I just created it. I'm super happy that they created this plush line in particular, and I will explain why. Like the Sonic, Tails, and Dr. Robotnik, they made this plush line, the 25th anniversary, which is the logo, which I'll talk about it, very shiny, very kind of metallic-y look. Now, my cam doesn't really give it much justice, but you can see through the lighting how it reflects, and that is throughout his whole body. We're talking about his face, we're talking about his feet, we're talking about absolutely everything. It has this reflective kind of material to it. I'm not 100% sure on the exact name of the material that they used. If somebody can tell me, leave a comment down below, that'll be much appreciated. But they use this interesting material where basically it gives it this kind of glossy, sparkly, shiny effect, which is absolutely awesome. Now, for those who don't know, the creators of this is Tommy, or Tommy, depending on how you pronounce it. I say Tommy, some people say Tommy, that's mostly in the UK, I don't know how they say it in Europe. So yeah, so I'm going to go through, of course, the details of this plush, and I will go through ins and outs, my likes, dislikes, etc, etc. But just let it be known straight out of the bat that I'm absolutely loving this plush for two reasons: the fact that it looks all shiny and sparkly and absolutely adorable, and the fact that KNUXS is my homeboy. I absolutely love him next to Sonic. I'll probably say KNUXS in some alliterations are way better than Sonic, but that's for another argument to have with another person, of course. So of course you have his head. His head sculpt is absolutely superb. Unlike other manufacturers where they tend to not necessarily, it doesn't deter from it, but they use other material techniques and whatnot. In the Tommy line in particular, I've noticed that they actually stitched pretty much, as far as I'm aware, they stitched everything, which is awesome. So you have his eyes, which is pretty much material within itself, also reflective, also shiny. So kind of this actual plush, if you think about it, if you actually physically look at it, it looks like hypersonic. No, hypersonic. It actually looks like Hyper KNUXS, which is a major plus. If you ever played, and I know I'm sidestepping a lot, but if any of you guys ever played the Sonic and KNUXS, well, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and KNUXS, the game, and you collected all the emeralds, you can actually become Hyper KNUXS. And this actually looks like, if you really, you know what, it actually does come close to Hyper KNUXS as is. Unlike the other characters, this is probably the closest thing you're going to get to Hyper KNUXS. It isn't Hyper KNUXS, but it has the essence of it. I'd love for them to make an actual official Hyper KNUXS, but you get what you get, and this is as close as you're going to get. That's why he's so sparkly. I just figured why I absolutely love this plush. Enough chitter chatter, let's get into details. So his eyes are extremely well stitched. You can't necessarily see it, but his actual eyes and his pupils are all stitched. Absolutely superb. You have his nose, which does suffer from the conventional plush designs where they basically tilt to one direction or the other. Of course, you do have the standardized technique where you put pressure on it and it does tend to center as is, which is awesome. You have his phenomenal little smirk there, which is extremely well stitched, which is awesome. Very major plus. And of course you have his snout, which if you look from an angle, I'll just do it from this angle, it is well proportioned to his actual dynamics and proportional to his actual body, which is a major plus. You have his head, which is very fluffy and stuffy. Of course you have stitch lunges, it is to be happen. Can't even string my words together. I can't even string my words together properly. It is to be expected that they're stitching on the heads. It is what it is. You have, of course, his little quills, not quills, but his dreadlocks, which is absolutely phenomenal. All of them are extremely well stuffed, which is a major bonus. I absolutely love that. It's just, there is so much stuffing around his head and his overall body that you cannot deny the superb quality that is Knuckles the Echidna, aka Hyper Knuckles, but not really. You have, of course, his little pointed little tail, which I like to think it's a little piggy tail. I have noticed that this one is considerably more larger than the other ones, which I find that quite interesting to say the least, but it is what it is, which I think is pretty phenomenal. There he is. And then you have his butt, which doesn't really have a butt, of course. You have, of course, his chest and his little half crescent sign there, which is always to be expected. Absolutely phenomenal. This tends to be a little bigger than the conventional ones that they tend to make for the Knuckles versions. I don't know 100% what they're going for that, but it kind of suits it in a weird, interesting way, but it is what it is. You have, of course, his little tags there, which has Sonic the Hedgehog. Great. You have, of course, his fist. Now, this is where I draw a little line of criticism. His actual fist look phenomenal. Of course, you have his thumbs on either side. You do have one knuckle, just if I can show it there, come on. So you have one knuckle there, but you don't have the second knuckles. It is vaguely there, like you can vaguely make out a second knuckles, but it is not pretty much symmetric in both sides. So most knuckles plushies they tend to have from both sides. This one kind of looks like you have one knuckle, of course, which is a very not doing justice to my cam, and you have another one which isn't there, and it's kind of like weird looking. It just doesn't look right, to be honest. And that's, I thought it was just the stitching on one side, but on the other side it's exactly the same. So you, of course, you have one knuckles there, and you don't necessarily have the other knuckles there. I'm not 100% sure if it was just bad stitching or if they were trying to aim for a different, more real effect, in that you know, when you crunch up your knuckles, the inner one tends to be more well, it depends on your knuckle, but the inner one or center one tends to be more add more extrusion, more pops out, whereby the outer ones tends to basically not pop out as much. I'm not 100% sure if that's what they're aiming for, simply because on the outer ones it extrudes out on either side, but the inner ones they don't necessarily extrude out as much. So that's a nitpick that I have. I mean, it doesn't, it's hard to say, like, it really depends on the person. To me, that stood out straight out of the bat. I know I'm talking a lot about the knuckles because I do think that's a pivotal point of this character's design, his actual knuckles, because he's Knuckles the Echidna. So I'm a bit bummed out by that, to be honest, but it doesn't necessarily detract from the fact that we have something that looks like Hyper Knuckles. Oh my god. But seriously, I don't know if that's a quality issue or if that's just me, but I would have preferred that they actually had proper extrusions of the knuckles. Of course, you have his gloves, which is there, pretty prominent. You have his arms, which is phenomenally well stuffed, all the way to the pivot point. The pivot point doesn't have as much stuffing, but it's to be expected, so you can move around. It is the exact same thing on both his leg. Pivotal points, not enough stuffing, but it's just to move. But it's everything else is phenomenally well stuffed. So you have his little socks, and you have his shoes there, and you have, which actually this is one of the better features in my personal opinion, area of his little buckle laces, buckle holes, what do you want to call them, is all stitched on. So great. And of course you have his feet. Now I would have preferred that they had like grooves to indicate that he's running, because most plushes, in this one particular, you're going to have him pose like that. That's how I'm going to pose him. So I would have had more grooves to add more character, but it is what it is. If I can have it standing up, I will. So it really depends on how you want to display it. Of course, you have his big tag, which is a sticker on Sonic the Hedgehog 25th anniversary. You have his name, Knuckles, and if you open up the card, you have a picture of Knuckles the Echidna, where you can actually see his knuckles. and look how small they are. Explain that to me, people. But there you go. You have KNUXS, the echidna. And what does it say? Does it have a message there? I think it does. It's something. I have no idea what the bottom message is. I'm sure it doesn't mean anything. You have obligatory information, so you have KNUXS there. I would have preferred to have maybe a picture of KNUXS there, but I get why they did it. Like, that's not really a nitpick. That's just me being a little, pansy about it. But you have a picture of KNUXS and you have KNUXS. Oh my god. Now, I have to address this issue. This is a collector's piece, and I say that straight away because I'm pretty sure this material, if you wash it over and over again, its little shiny metallic vibe will disappear, and you will no longer have Hyper KNUXS, and you would have to get the Master Emeralds / Chaos Emeralds, depending on which version of the iteration of the game you're going to play, which is a major bummer. But it is definitely a nice piece. I would have preferred this to be a lot smaller, and I would have preferred this to be in a less intrusive place, maybe in the back of the head or on the side, so you can see all in its beautiful glory and not necessarily it popping out the way it is. It is what it is. I can't complain, but I would have preferred that. Overall, this plush is a phenomenal plush. I highly recommend this for a couple of reasons. A, it is phenomenally well crafted, other than the fact that the KNUXS doesn't look like its actual KNUXS. There you go. It kind of looks weird. So I don't know if that's just mine. If you have one, let me know if that's the same as yours. But my KNUXS isn't necessarily KNUXS, unless I'm going to imagine that he punched something so hard that he basically dented one of his knuckles. That's his battle story. Let's work with that, shall we? Other than that, phenomenally well designed. I love the fact that it has this shiny metallic vibe to it. Superb. Nice little hashtag, nice little overall. I do recommend you highly pick this up. A, because it's the 25th anniversary. I'm sure it will become rare down the track if you're into rarity stuff. But other than that, it is a unique piece, and unique pieces are very hard to come by when you're doing Sonic the Hedgehog collectibles and all that sort of stuff. So definitely pick it up if you're interested in that. If not, I just pick it up simply because have a piece of history. Let's be real. Like, this is literally a piece of history, and I wouldn't have recommended it any other way. There are some plushes I won't necessarily recommend, not because they're bad or any evil, or there's a few bad ones, but simply because it's, it doesn't stand out. These ones do stand out, so definitely pick them up. I recommend it. Anyway, where did I purchase it? Amazon. That's where I purchased mine. That's when they released it. I recommend you check it out, Amazon.com. They do worldwide. How do I know? Because they did Australia, which is where I'm from. Bonus points. I also recommend, I think they cost, I don't recommend this, but I think they cost roughly about $20, depending on where you're located and the shipping, etc, etc. I think I bought it in a package. I think it could send me back about 120 or something, including shipping. But look, it's purely up to you. I think $20 is a phenomenal price for such a well-crafted historic piece of plush merchandise. But yeah, it's totally up to you. Guys, rarity for this is probably 1 star out of 10 for now. Who knows, it may be super rare down the track. That's the mystery and beauty of collecting. You never know it's going to be rare. If you're into rarity, maybe pick it up. If you're not, who really cares? Me, I just like it for my collection, which is a major plus. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this review. And of course, if you want to see more, leave comments down below. I know some people have. Thank you so much. Speed on, take care. Until next time.